All right, as promised then, the first salad extra I want to show you is these spicy, slightly sweet sunflower seeds. And these are definitely a fantastic addition to a salad and something that can be made well ahead of time. They just need to dehydrate overnight. So you can make them and store them, and I normally store them at room temperature just in a covered container. But if you find that they go a little bit soft, then you can just put them back in the dehydrator for a while and they'll crunch up again. So what we've got here is some sunflower seeds that have been soaked overnight, rinsed off, and then they've been sitting there for a couple of hours just to allow them to breathe before we put the rest of the ingredients on them. But the main thing is that you soak them overnight and rinse them off, and then they're ready to use. If you leave them for any longer, they'll start to germinate. You can probably see just on the end of that one, you see the sprout growing. And this is how you would sprout sunflower seeds. But I found that if you buy these ones without the black shells on, without the hull on, they don't grow very well. So I tend to just soak these overnight and then use them straight away rather than actually letting them grow, because they go a funny colour and they can kind of go off a little bit as well. Just as a side note, if you ever want to grow sunflower greens, then the best thing to do is use the ones with the black hulls on them. So that's our sunflower seeds ready to go. Then we've got some cayenne, we've got a little bit of agave. You can use any sweetener if you want to use maple or honey or any of those other sweeteners. Then we've got cumin, tamari, onion powder, garlic powder, and we've also got lemon juice. Now, one of the concepts that I'm going to really be talking about a lot during this course is a concept of having a fat, an acid, a salt and a sweet in everything you do, and there's more information at the end of this week and certainly in your workbooks regarding that. I'm going to talk you through, particularly as it relates to salad dressings. But as long as you make sure that everything in your food has got a fat, an acid, a salt and a sweet, and you can remember it as FAS, F-A-S-S, that rounds out the flavour. So if you look here, we've got sunflower seeds, which are a fat. We've got the acid, which is lemon juice. Saltiness is in the tamari, and the sweet is the agave. So your first stage really in making your own recipes could be to start substituting an acid for an acid, a salt for a salt, and so on. So as an example, you might take out the tamari and substitute it for Himalayan salt. You might substitute the lemon juice for lime juice, or substitute the sweet, or substitute the fat as well. You can do maybe different types of seeds. Pumpkin seeds work really well, or maybe change this to nuts. And in certain other recipes, you might substitute maybe a fat like olive oil for an avocado. So you can start to just get your head around that. I won't explain it too much more at the moment, but just as you're going through these recipes, look out for the fat, the acid, the salt and the sweet. And when you're reading other people's recipes as well, you can look through, and sometimes if it hasn't got all those elements, it's not tasting quite right, then you know how to fix it. Okay, so I'm just going to mix all these up in a bowl. Cumin is one of my favourite spices. Love that flavour in a salad. And obviously you can add, if you want to add a little bit of extra cayenne, or if you want to add some extra spice depending on your preference, obviously you can do that. These have got a nice little bit of a spice at the end of them, but if you want to add chili powder or anything like that. I really like the spicy stuff, but I know plenty of people find it a bit difficult to deal with. So we'll just mix these up, and they may look a little bit watery at the moment, but then as you start to mix in those powders, those spices, it helps the liquid stick. It helps the liquid stick to the sunflower seeds. What I was also going to say was that you don't really want to start with dry sunflower seeds, because when you dehydrate, it tends not to draw the flavour in so much into the sunflower seeds as this method does. And also, obviously, you've got enzyme inhibitors to think about. When you actually start to sprout these sunflower seeds, they become a living thing, and much easier to digest. Even after they've been dehydrated, they're still a living thing. Okay. So these need one of these dehydrator trays with the non-stick sheet. It's not that it's going to stick, but obviously you can imagine if I put that on there, it's going to drip through and be very messy and cause us problems with cleanup as well, trying to get all those bits and pieces out of the mesh. Okay, and then you just want to spread these out, use the whole tray and get space in between all your seeds, just so the air can get around them. This kind of thing is good if you don't just have it all in one lump. Okay, so that would go in the dehydrator like that overnight, and there's really, you can't leave them too long. You want them as dry as possible. And what you end up with is something like this, which then, as you can see, is nice and crunchy, and that is just a great addition to a salad. If you know, this actually gives you kind of some fuel to burn. If you're making a nice salad with a light dressing, this is, you know, some essential calories that you actually will see you through, so you won't get hungry for the rest of the evening. And they are a great snack. They're very Moorish as well because they've got the right flavour balance of fat, acid, salt, and sweet. And when you combine spiciness with sweetness, it can be very addictive as well. So I'll just store these in a sealed container at room temperature, and if they don't stay crunchy like that, then I can just throw them back in the dehydrator again. Let's move on to the next thing.